Okay, welcome everyone. I'd like to thank everybody for joining our webinar today. This demonstration is going to cover reporting, analytics, and dashboards, working with Infor LN and or Baan. And you may hear me use interchangeably the words LN and Baan. Our software, Cyberquery, works the same whether you're dealing with Baan 4 or all the way through the latest version of Infor LN. So I hope that doesn't cause too much confusion. Likewise, we're going through a name change in our software. Software used to be called Enterprise Cyberquery or ECQ. Now we're just dropping the Enterprise and going by Cyberquery or CQ. But again, old habits die hard, so you may hear me call it Cyberquery or Enterprise Cyberquery or ECQ. It all means the same. So with that being said, what we're going to do today is we're just going to run through a handful of PowerPoint slides and try to spend most of our time actually in the software itself. So the agenda today, we're going to talk about typical requirements from Baan and LN customers when it comes to looking for reporting and BI dashboard tools. We're going to go through a couple of customer case studies showing you what other people have done with the software running against Infor LN or Baan. One of the things we really pride ourselves on is we've got a lot of great references of people using Cyberquery with all versions of Baan and LN. We'll go through kind of a high-level overview of the software. And again, spend most of our time just showing you what the software looks like in a Baan/LN environment. My database is actually LN, but hopefully everybody can see how it would also be applicable to Baan. And then next steps. Next steps, if you like what you see in the demonstration, feel free to ask me for a copy of the PowerPoint slides, a link to the recording, or even a link to download an evaluation copy of the software. I would love to work with you just so you can test out Cyberquery in your own environment, see how fast it really is, how easy it is to use. So at the end, you'll receive a survey. Just feel free to, mark what you like from us. We'll be happy to send it to you. Okay. So as we talk with customers about their needs when it comes to reporting or analytics or dashboards for LN, the number one thing we hear is we need easy access to our LN or Baan data. And the three little dots just signify sometimes it's not restricted to Baan and LN. Sometimes people are going to say, hey, I need to be able to combine data from Baan and Infor CRM, or Baan and SAP, or LN and Salesforce, or LN and CPQ. With Cyberquery, accessing multiple data structures, even multiple databases on remote machines is not an issue. So I'll show you some examples of that as we go along today. The number two thing we hear is people want to be able to do all kinds of reports and charts and analytics, as well as business intelligence. So with the ECQ, it's real easy to create a report, schedule it, and email distribution of that report, all in one step. You can output data in any format you want, whether it's Excel, PDF, or HTML. And then today, people want reports that are live. I mean, they want to be able to drill down through the reports. And so we'll show you how you do that with Cyberquery. Okay, the other thing that people are asking for is the power and functionality side of things. They don't want a product that's going to run out of gas on them. So with Cyberquery, you can build very sophisticated financial statements, whether it's an income statement, a balance sheet, uses of cash, whatever it might be, you can do that. You can do things like bills of material, bills of lading, all kinds of sales analysis. And with Cyberquery, in an LN environment, probably 80% of your reporting is going to go straight against the production LN or Baan data. The other 20% may come out of ECQ data marts or cubes. But again, the nice thing is that Cyberquery can combine data from multiple sources very easily. So you may start off with a dashboard that's written against a data mart, but as people drill down and drill down and drill down, they're eventually pointing back at their production data. Fourth item is dashboards. I'm going to show you a whole bunch of dashboards built with Cyberquery. And fifth thing we're going to cover is the pricing. CyberQuery is very reasonably priced, and we'll get into that in more detail as we go along. Okay, this slide is just the kind of a who's who of using CyberQuery. You'll see we got big customers like 3M and Siemens, and small customers, and kind of everybody in between. So you don't need to be huge to use CyberQuery. We've got customers that have, 12 seats of Baan using CyberQuery. What I want to do is take you through a couple of customer case studies. At a recent conference here in the US, we had customers stand up and talk for us. One of those users was a gentleman named Howard from a company called UEA. UEA stands for United Equipment Accessories. And so Howard said, "Hey, Jim, the only way I'm going to do a presentation for you is if you allow me to have a disclaimer." I said, "What?" He says, "Well, it seemed like all the big vendors have disclaimers in their presentation. And those of you that have been to Infor know that most presentations start with a disclaimer that says, do not rely on anything you hear in this presentation to make any kind of business decision." So Howard, trying to be funny, said, "I want to have my own disclaimer." I said, "Okay, great, Howard. What's your disclaimer?" He said, "Okay, number one, depression has been known to occur when going back to Infor reports after using CyberQuery. Number two, once on CyberQuery, increased report requests can come from various business units. And number three, business analysts have reported ear-to-ear smiles by users on CyberQuery. If this happens, don't immediately stop using CyberQuery. Users will experience sudden thoughts of tar and feathering the idiots that may then go back to standard reporting." So again, that was Howard's attempt at trying to be humorous. But in his presentation, Howard said, "Okay, here's how we at UEA use CyberQuery. Number one, we have about 100 reports that go out each day, mostly via email as Excel spreadsheets or PDF documents. We have power users from sales and engineering who write their own reports, which is great news because it means less reporting for Howard. Number three, reports are also pushed to outside vendors and sales reps." So that's how they use CyberQuery. Some of their favorite features. Number one, CyberQuery simplifies the data coming out of the ERP system. Makes it very intuitive for the users to go in and go click and drag and build their own reports. Joins are automatically built. Users never have to see code. Number three, very stable software. Report server never goes down. Great scheduling engine. We call it Q Director. Extremely fast queries, equally fast support. And that's something we really pride ourselves on. Whenever you have a question, pick up the phone, call your favorite support rep. They'll answer your question immediately, and you get on with life. They write reports using the graphical user interface, or the real technical people will use the syntax. Some of the benefits to UEA, CyberQuery has given us visibility into our ERP data in ways the Infor tools never could do. Power users are now understanding the ERP data structures and why it's so important to have accurate data. Now they're able to go back after the users to make sure data is entered correctly the first time. Final thoughts, CyberQuery truly is drama-free software. And then Howard added, "Isn't it about time?" And we can't imagine conducting business without CyberQuery. So here's a kind of a sample report / dashboard that they send out to all their AR people every morning, just showing kind of a rolling balance by month of their AR level. They've also got it broken down by company. And then within company, they've got their top 10 customers that they're focused on in order to clear up their AR balances. Users can drill down by clicking any of these vertical bars, these horizontal bars, or these names to get to more levels of detail. Okay, another customer that stood up and spoke for us were the guys at Rocor. Rocor builds radiators for trains, buses, tanks, buses, things like that. Why did they choose CyberQuery? Well, number one, they needed to consolidate data across 7 different databases. Each database was represented a site or a company. They wanted to automatically email the executives a dashboard every morning, and the IT manager didn't want to have to babysit those jobs at 6 a.m. Number 3, they were looking for something easy and fast, something where they could train the department users and they could write a lot of their own reports. They were looking for a replacement for manual consolidation, and then ability to deliver on promise. If they promised the user a dashboard or they promised them a report, they knew they could do it in CyberQuery. And again, the product was not going to run out of power. They were also looking for something cheap. This used to say cheap. We modified it to say cost effective, because CyberQuery really is very inexpensive. And here's a couple dashboards they send out. This one's showing margin by plant. Again, users just click on any of these bars or segments of the bars to drill down and see what's going on there. They can also look at it by site or company, but again, they just click. Here's another one. This is showing revenue by year by month. Here's margin by year by month. Here's what they call their order backlog or their order bank. That's their backlog report. So backlog by site or company, backlog by end user type. But again, users just click to drill through. These are sent out as HTML documents to the executives every morning. Another customer was looking, we asked them, why did you choose CyberQuery? They said, okay, number one, we're looking for a stable BI solution. They're moving away from crystal reports. Something that was easy to use for all the users, where they could go in and on demand build their own reports and then export the data to Excel or PDF. They're looking for something fast. As a matter of fact, when they replaced Crystal with CyberQuery, every month in they used to have about 100 reports that would run in Crystal, and those reports took about 3 hours to run. They rewrote those 100 reports in CyberQuery, and now those reports run in about 15 minutes. So CyberQuery is orders of magnitude faster than any other tool you're going to run into out there. We've also got an integrated data dictionary for any version of Baan or LN. And then what they said was their low turnup cost model. They went with the subscription model for basically the license of the software on a month-to-month basis. So there's really no risk. And now with the free test drive that we're offering people, you can get the software free for 30 days at no cost. So there really is, risk-free evaluation of the software. Okay, another customer asked us for a dashboard. The operations manager said, hey, I'd like to have a dashboard where just a blink of an eye, I can look and see if there's any issues out on the shop floor. So they came up with this idea of the stoplights, where a green stoplight means no jobs over standard in that work center group. Yellow stoplight means one job over standard. A red stoplight means more than one job over standard. So the operations manager can look at this and say, oh, we got an issue in the turret group. They go click on turret, and now they can drill down and see the work centers that comprise turret. And again, whether the red, green, or yellow, they can click on a work center and drill down and see the jobs that are currently open in that work center. And again, whether they're red, green, or yellow. Click on a job, and they can drill all the way down to see who are the people logging time against that job, and are they over or under the standard in terms of minutes. This dashboard was so successful, they actually went, and put this dashboard on the touchscreen monitor out on the shop floor. So now people can just walk up and with a greasy finger, they can go tap, tap, tap to get all the data they want to see. Okay. Another customer had an issue where they needed to combine data from Salesforce, here in purple, CSI, Cloud Suite Industrial, in green, and the blue is the budget from corporate, which is in Excel. So this particular chart brings all the data together from Excel, SQL, and Salesforce in the cloud, presents it as a nice, pretty chart, but it doesn't stop there. The user can now come in and go click on any of these months and drill down and see, okay, do I have entries that are showing closed in Salesforce that have no entry into my ERP system? Or do I have bookings in my ERP system that have no corresponding sales in Salesforce? So now with this, they can really make sure that two systems or three systems are talking to each other. They'll make sure that things that actually are closed in Salesforce roll into their ERP, or things in the ERP are actually shown in the sales area. So again, combining data from multiple sources, very easy with CyberQuery. Okay, so CyberQuery is really designed around, I'm going to say 5 key areas. Number one is ease of use. Ease of use, whether the user is an executive, clicking on a dashboard, an end user who's dragging and dropping fields to build a report, or a power user who wants to slice and dice and drill down through data, or even a programmer who wants to look at the code behind all the pretty screens. Second bullet is power. Again, any report you can dream of doing. Now, I've been with cyber science for 15 years, and I've never seen a report we could not do. So again, very powerful. Whether it's a report, a drill down, a dashboard, you can do it in CyberQuery. Third bullet is performance. CyberQuery is a server-based solution, meaning you're going to install it on a Windows, Unix, or Linux server, someplace in your environment. And because it's server-based, in a Baan or LN environment, CyberQuery is going to be reading anywhere from 40 to 140,000 rows a second out of your Baan database. If you're reading out of our data marts or cubes, it'll be reading millions of rows a second. So again, it's very, very fast. Fourth bullet is security. You can secure data at the Baan company level or site level, the database, table, all the way down to the row and even column value level. So if you need to secure by sales rep or secure by product or product line, you can do that within CyberQuery. Fifth bullet is cost. You can license the software any way you want, whether it's a perpetual purchase with annual maintenance, whether it's an annual subscription license or a month-to-month subscription. You can do it whatever works out best for your budget. A typical monthly license for a Baan customer is probably in that $1,400 to $1,500 a month range. The base license starts at $9.99 a month. With the Excel add-in, which everybody gets, the price is that's another $100. So if you think the base price is going to be around $10.99, but if you budget, $1,400, $1,500, you're going to be safe. And that includes, the base license includes 5 developers, 5 runtime users, Launchpad users, everything you need to get started. And then people will add additional developers or runtime or Launchpad users. That's why, again, I say the average is probably around between $1,400 and $1,500 a month per company. And people will tell you the software works. It does what we say it's going to do. Okay, the next handful of slides we're going to go through pretty quickly because they're just screenshots. Here's an example of a report going across multiple Baan companies. BJ stands for Beijing, so you do see we do support multi-byte character sets. Converts all the all the numbers into US dollars, and people can just click and drill down. Not only can we read across multiple databases and get you a consolidated number, we can also read across multiple modules and bring back a consolidated number. Okay, we can also do things like income statements. Here's an income statement by month with percent of sales, year-to-date percent of sales, prior year percent of sales, budget, etc. And again, a user comes in here. Most users know if they see a blue underscore, they can click on it. So if I click on cost of materials, here's cost of materials now broken down by ledger account. I can click again and see those values for that, all the finalized transactions for that ledger account for that time period. Again, it's just click, click, click. Anytime a user wants, they can export to Excel, PDF, HTML, wherever they might need to send that data. Okay, here's an example of a form created in CyberQuery. Now this is combining data from ERP and CPQ. That's Infor's Configure Price Quote module. The top third of this invoice is data coming out of the ERP system. The bottom 2/3, that's data coming out of CPQ. But again, ECQ can combine that data together very nicely for you. Okay, as you build reports and you want to share those reports, you publish them to what we call the Launchpad. This Launchpad is completely customizable by you. So your own logos, color schemes, graphics, tree structure over here on the left. And all a user needs to use the software is a browser. So if your users have Internet Explorer, Internet Edge, Firefox, Chrome, Safari, they're ready to go. So if you got people walking around with iPads, they'll be able to create reports. They'll even be able to build reports from their iPad or their iPhone if they've got really good eyesight. Okay, reports can be very simple and static or very dynamic. This is a more dynamic report. This report has two windows in it. This left-hand window is a selection area where a user can pick an accounting period or even a day within the period. And based on what the user selects over here in this left-hand column, the main body of the report is going to refresh with that data. The user can resort the data by clicking on a column header. They can output the PDF or Excel, or they can drill through the report just by clicking on a customer number in this case. Cyberquery also has got a great Excel interface. We don't just print to Excel as if it were a sheet of paper. We actually output sums and maxes and mins wherever possible. We also have a great Excel add-in. So in this add-in, so for example, if you look at this spreadsheet has three sets of bond data. There's blue data, the green data, the gray data. It's all coming out of LN. These yellow fields are the input fields that drive those reports. These charts, those are good old Excel charts. These yellow columns, those are Excel variables and calculations. So I can set up this report, send it to my boss. He can pop it open. He can change the input fields or just say refresh. And assuming that next user is a valid LN user, the system is going to reach back in, update these ranges, but not override anything that's been done at the Excel level. So you really get the best of both worlds. You get fast, easy, secure access to all of your bond or LN data, and yet the ability at the Excel level to do any kind of forecasting or what-if modeling that you might want to do at that level. Okay, here's an interesting report, and I know the numbers are really too small to read, but I'll just give you the history behind this report. This customer originally met us at a trade show. They walked up and said, hey, we like the look and feel of Cyberquery, but we really need something that's got a lot of power. And we said, oh, we've got a lot of power. They said, yeah, you know what? That's what another BI vendor told us. We just bought another BI package, and we spent 6 months working with them trying to create this report, and we couldn't do it. We said, no, we've really got a lot of power. They said, okay, tell you what we're going to do. We'll give this report and come back to us when you're done. They were kind of thinking they'd never see us again. Remember, they couldn't do this report in 6 months with their other BI package, which, by the way, is a very, very expensive package. Anyhow, we went away. We wrote this report in about 2 days. They were blown away, very happy, signed it, became a great customer. But the story doesn't end there. About 2 years later, their ERP vendor came back to them and said, hey, we've just signed a new deal with another BI package, and we want all of our big customers using that package. So we're going to give you a free copy of this software. And this customer said, great, we love free software, but before we invest a whole lot of time, take this report, come back when you're done. So they gave this report to the new BI vendor. That vendor went away, came back 2 months later and asked, do you have an easier report we can work on? This customer just laughed at him and said, thanks, but no thanks. And they continue being one of our bigger customers over in the UK. Okay, here's an example of a costed and indented bill of material. Here's a bill of material with a routing on top of it. And then here's just some sample dashboards. This is showing an example of a spark line to show the trend in data. This next object over here is what we call a bullet chart. A bullet chart is like a gauge, but it takes up a lot less real estate on your screen than a gauge would take. For example, if you look at revenue, you can see we're at $95 million and we're ahead of target. That vertical bar is target. So we're in the good area. That light blue is good. Medium blue is satisfactory. The brighter blue is poor. So if we're only in the poor area, you'll see a little bullet. That's why they call it a bullet chart. But a user can get more information by clicking on these labels, these bars, these bullets, anything they want to drill down. Okay, here's another example of a dashboard with a whole lot of different charting types, area charts, pie, vertical bar, horizontal bar, bubble charts, even a heat map, where, each, I want to say state, but I don't think it's states down there, but, each area can be color coded to show sales in that area. You can also, as part of your dashboard, have a security structure, where California only sees California data and Arizona only sees Arizona data, and corporate sees it all. So you can do that. You can also have a bubble chart superimposed on a map. You can also have scorecards with red, green, yellow, purple lights going on here by dim code or whatever you want to use. Okay, now here's the one technical slide in the presentation. This is how CyberQuery works in a Baan or an LN environment. So we have a utility that we call the Baan Toolkit. Works the same whether you're Baan or LN. But what happens is literally, within 2 hours of downloading the software, you'll be writing reports against your Baan or LN data. This toolkit goes out there and looks at all of your custom tables and custom fields within Baan or LN, and it builds the dictionary dynamically. So it picks up everything, everything you've got in Baan and LN, and it picks up both the native as well as the user-friendly table and field names. And I'll show you what that means here in about 2 minutes. Most importantly, the system goes through the environment, both the LN application and the database environment, to figure out all of the joins. And that's key, because that's what makes it possible for end users just to drag and drop to build a report. They never have to write SQL. They never have to see code. You can also go in and hide specific tables and or fields by user or by user group. So if certain people shouldn't see accounting files, just block them out. Very easy to do. The environment handles multi-site, multi-company right out of the box. You can also bring in multiple databases and or applications. So, we have a lot of customers that may have a Baan 4 dictionary and an LN dictionary and another dictionary for Sightline and another dictionary that combines them all together. So again, with CyberQuery, any combination of data you want, you can access. The other nice thing about the dictionary is it translates some of those funny data types. So all the timestamps, the Greenwich Mean Time dates, we translate those into local time with lead time offsets. We handle all the enumerated and text fields that Baan loves to use. Now, the reason the software is so fast is we're going straight to the database, whether it's SQL, Oracle, Progress, Informix, DB2, any ODBC data source like Excel or Access. We even support flat files and index file structures. But we're always speaking natively to the database. So we do not have to go through Baan or LN to get to the SQL data. We're making native SQL calls. That's why when you talk to customers, they'll tell you that we are anywhere from 10 to 20 times faster than some of the standard tools that have to go through Baan or LN to get to the data. Again, and that's 10 to 20 times, not percent, 10 to 20 times faster than other tools. Matter of fact, that's one of the reasons we encourage people to bring in the evaluation copy of the software. See how fast it really is for you. Okay, the other nice thing about the dictionary are these things we call viewpoints. So, the IT people may be perfectly comfortable looking at all 3,400 tables in LN, but your average user doesn't want to look at that volume of data. So you can set up these viewpoints where the salespeople see exactly 0 tables. All they see are some ECQ data marts and cubes. The purchasing people might see 5 or 10 tables. Finance might see 100 or 200 tables, but again, they don't need to wade through all 3,400 tables in LN. Okay, the other great thing about the solution are our people. Whenever you have a question, pick up the phone, call. Our support people average over 8 years of experience with the software. They also know LN and Baan because they help build the report library. We have a report library of probably, we say 70 or 80 is probably more like 280 reports now. So if you need examples of a bill of material, I've got 4 or 5 examples I can send to you. If you need examples of AR reports, again, we got a bunch of examples we can send. You can use that library of reports as is or modify them to meet your specific needs. We've also got great training. So if you take the evaluation, look at the software, if you like what you see, we'll just send you a free evaluation copy of the software. If you like it, we'll then send a trainer to your site, or we can also do it remotely to go through the training. They spend 1 day with the IT people talking about security and managing the environment. Then the next 2 days are with the end users doing the dragging and dropping, teaching people how to do that. And then the last 2 days of the week, they actually sit down with you and build production Baan or LN reports. So by the time the trainer leaves, you have people that are competent and confident in using the software. Okay, graphic to summarize what we've gone through. Starting down here at the bottom, all the user needs is a browser. From the browser, they're going to connect to the EC2 server. This can be any Windows, Unix, or Linux box. Okay, based upon the user's profile, one user may only see maybe one table, or maybe only one bond company, or maybe just one VRC. Another user may, connecting to the same server, may see multiple tables, or multiple VRCs, or multiple applications. Again, it's all based on user profile, either the user level or the Active Directory level. They may or may not see EC2 data marts and cubes. Again, it's all based on user profile. Again, Active Directory we support, as well as single sign-on, as well as by ID. There's also a great scheduling system that surrounds the entire product. Likewise, there's a scripting or macro capability that surrounds the entire product. So you can build one job that runs the first day of every month that generates 50 financial statements. The user can go in and look at those statements and say, oh, we forgot to do this, or we need to do that. The accountants go back in, enter those transactions, come back, click the button, and regenerate those 50 statements. So one important thing to keep in mind with CyberQuery is that it is read-only. So just because somebody has access to CyberQuery does not mean they're going to be able to update any of your Baan or LN data. Okay, last slide. If you like what you see, again, we'll just send you a link, download a copy of the software. We'll even help you build the data dictionary. And what we'd like to ask you for is a couple of sample reports. We'll show you how easy those reports are to build in CyberQuery. We kind of use them as a little mini training class. Then we go away, let you play with the software for 30 days. If you like it, you keep the software. If you don't, send it back to us. All done at no cost. So that's kind of what we mean when we say the test drive. Okay, I'm going to jump out of PowerPoint. But again, if you have any questions, if you're in Europe, contact my counterpart, Steve Oakes. If you're in North America, please reach out to me. Here's my email address and contact information. And at the end of this webinar, you should receive a link or a survey where you can request, again, the evaluation copy of the software or a link to the recording or whatever you might need. Okay, getting out of PowerPoint. So I'm going to jump over here. Let's jump into my browser. Now, I've just logged in. So I'm just using Chrome here. Now, my environment is a little busy just because I can go in and look at Infor data or Oracle or SAP, Microsoft, Glovia. We're going to go in here to Infor. Within Infor, we support all their major ERPs, whether it's Baan, LN, Sightline, M3, Lawson, BPIX, PRMS, you name it. We're again going to focus right here on the Baan and LN environment. Now, as a user comes in, not all users are going to be able to see all these modules. Matter of fact, most end users will just see the Launchpad. But CyberQuery is where you go to build a report. We have both standard client server as well as a full HTML zero footprint client for CyberQuery. Command line we use during setup. We'll go to Launchpad in just a second. Dictionary managers where you control the metadata environment. Q directors, the scheduling package. CQ publish lets you take a report from CyberQuery and publish it to the Launchpad. But let's start here with what an end user might see. So I'm going to the Launchpad. Now again, this is all customizable with your own logos and color schemes and graphics and tree structure. But a user goes in here and says, okay, I want to go look at finance. I want to look at financial statements. I want to look at this financial dashboard. So it goes out there, and in this case, presents to me the financial dashboard. This dashboard is showing income here in pink versus owner's equity in green. So that blue line is my return on equity. So I can go over here to the end. I just go click on any of these bars. And now I can drill down. In this case, I'm going to see an income statement. And again, I'm going to go click on the repair and maintenance. And now I've drilled down for these ledger accounts. I can keep clicking and drilling. Anytime I want, I can export as a spreadsheet, PDF, HTML document, or CyberQuery format. But again, that's all end users need to know is they just click and drill down. Let's go back. I'm going to look at here's a sales report. Here's kind of a sales dashboard. Now this dashboard is showing, again, in this case, that's revenue by year by month. Here's margin by year by month. And down here's kind of a 13-month rolling revenue versus margin percentage line. But again, a user comes in here and all they do is they go click on any of these lines. In this case, there's multiple options. So it pops open a little menu to say, okay, where do you want to go? Do you want to go look at details for this month? Or do you want to look at year to date? I'm going to click year to date. System goes out there and runs. And now here's my salesman, my report, sales by salesman year to date. I can say, great. I can export it, do whatever I want to do. Or in this case, I'm going to say, let's see what's going on with Adam Wood. I click on that arrow in front of Adam Wood. And now I'm looking at, I've expanded it to look at sales by customer. And again, any place I want, I can set up these links. Most end users know if they see a blue underscore, they can click on it and something's going to happen. In this case, I clicked on it and it showed me the details behind these sales from this customer for this sales rep for this time period. So again, very easy for users to navigate and export data anytime they might need to. Okay. I see a couple of questions have come in, so let me answer those. One question has to do with what's required on the CyberQuery server. Basically, nothing. I mean, we provide our own IIS, and so nothing other than the connection to the database. So if you're running SQL as your underlying database, nothing is required on the CyberQuery server. If you're using Oracle, you just need the Oracle client on that server. That's a free download from Oracle themselves. Okay, let's get on here. Other question, can I connect to remote versions of LN? And again, the answer is yes. You may want to just look at, you might have different VRCs, but again, we've got a lot of customers that have plants here in the US and also in Mexico, and the data from Mexico is in Mexico, but they can combine them together using CyberQuery. Okay, all right. Now, as you publish a report, you can specify whether the report can be viewed, run, cloned. Clone means make a copy, and let me edit that copy of the report. You could allow somebody to edit a published report. You probably don't want to do that. The fourth option over is subscribe. Subscribe is designed to get users out of the business of having, IT out of the business of having to push reports to the end users. This lets the end user come in here and say, hey, I want to get the report starting at this time, on this date, and then every X number of minutes, hours, days, weekdays, weeks, months, etc. The user can also set these up as an alert where they say, hey, don't send it to me if there's no qualifying records. So just by clicking that box and making an alert, they can say, okay, send it to me as a HTML5, text, Excel, PDF, or CyberQuery format, and then send it to this email address or not. So again, then they can subscribe and unsubscribe. So that's subscribe. Let's get out of there. We can go ahead and look at other reports, but I'll tell you what, let's just go ahead and build a report from scratch. And we're going to build several reports. So I'm going to go back here. I'm going to go into CyberQuery. Okay, and the system basically takes me where I last ended. So in this case, it looks like I'm writing a brand new report. So it's going to walk me through the wizard. So it says, what kind of report do you want to do? You want a list report, a summary or crosstab report, a plot or chart, labels of any size and format, or I can start with an existing inquiry and modify that. But we're going to do several of these. So let's go in here first to the list report. I'll click next. The system says, okay, where do you want to start? Now, just to prove that this is good old LN data, I can come through here and you'll see, okay, here's TDSLS 400 or 401 or, TFGLD, 106 or whatever you might want to look at. This is what we call the native viewpoint. This is the native name for all of your LN tables. If we were looking at Baan, that was a TDSLS 041 or 040 or, again, whatever the case might be. So native, the people that are more technical, love these names. I'm an accountant. I prefer to use this all tables viewpoint, where now it gives me more of an English-like name for those tables. So again, if I were to type in here something like sales, let me type in here. So if I were to say, here's my sales order lines, that's good old TDSLS 401. And if I go in here, notice that we bring in both the end user name and then append the native name to it. This is an option in the dictionary. You can append those native names or not. Some people, again, love them, others don't. But again, you can just append those just like that. Again, it's just designed to make it more intuitive for the user. Let's go in here. For my first report, let's go in. I'm going to go look at the item master. In LN, that's called general items. So we're going to go in there. And I want to bring in my item number. I want to bring in my item type. And I want to bring in my description. I think I also want to bring in here my inventory unit. And I want to bring in here, we'll say, okay, I want to bring in here inventory on hand. But I don't know where inventory on hand lives within LN. I'm going to come in here. I'm just going to type the word hand, H-A-N-D. The system looks through my dictionary and says, okay, you've got these 7 or 8 tables that have a field that includes the word hand. Well, I know I want to use that one called inventory, W-H-I-N-R 140. Yep, that's the field I want. I just drag it in and drop it. And now notice this. This is the most important part of the demo. Notice that CyberQuery didn't ask me how to go from general item data down to my inventory file. It's already figured out that join. So I can now just click and drag any field from these files to bring into my report. Matter of fact, if I want to bring in here my warehouse code, I can click and drag and just drop it right there. If I want to resequence, for example, maybe I want to put description in front of item type. Again, I just click and drag. It's that easy. When I'm happy, I click next. The system says, okay, do you want to sort the report? I'll say, yeah, let's sort it based on item number. And it says, do you want to select or qualify records? Now I'm going to come in here, I'm going to double click on description. Because we support so many different databases, we have pretty much every comparison operator or Boolean operator known to mankind. All the easy ones like equal, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to. But we also have contains, does not contain, matches, does not match, ends with, does not end with, pretty much anything you're ever going to need. Right there. I'm going to hit cancel, because we really don't need to select records. I'll tell you what, one more thing I wanted to show you. When I look at my dictionary, here's a field called company. Now, company does not exist within your Baan or LN database. Company is a derived or calculated field. And this is what makes it so user-friendly to walk across multiple databases. We make the variable for company, so like if you're dealing with company 100 or 200 or 524, users can go in and they can use that company field to sort on, to select on, to format on. Basically, it's as if it were a real field, even though it does not exist in the underlying Baan database. So and maybe for our example, I'm not even going to stop. We'll just say finished. System goes out there, runs the report, and brings me back data that quickly. So here's my item description, item type. Let's do this. I'm going to drag item type to the front of my report. So now I'm looking at all these item types. And again, item type is one of those enumerated fields in Baan. Now, what we do that's nice, we actually go in, and I'm going to go over here in my filter. I'm typing the word type, T-Y-P-E. We bring in item type, but we also bring in the item type text field. So we automatically translate all those enumerated fields into English or into any underlying language. But right here you can see that item type 2 means manufacturer, 1 is purchased. But again, it just simplifies the data I'm dealing with. So I might come in here and say, you know what, I really only want to see item type 1. I can right mouse click and say, only give me item type equals 1. So now we're just looking at purchased items. I can also just hit my delete button, get rid of that enumerated number. And now we're just looking at purchase types. I can right mouse click again and go to my, my duplicate values, and I can say, you know what, hide duplicate values. So now we're just looking at, one occurrence of that purchase. So again, it's left mouse, right mouse. That's all you need to know. For example, if I were to come back here, let me get rid of that word type up there. If I were to say, let's bring in here, I'm just going to come in here and type a P. For product type, I'm going to drag product type right into my report. And again, just going to drop it right there. So now I've got all my item types. Anytime I have a question anywhere in the product, all I do is a right mouse click. Right mouse shows me all my options. So I can delete, move to the parking lot. The parking lot's that lower left-hand corner. I can insert a copy. I can optimize width. I can go and look at all my item properties. But in this case, I'm just going to say delete, and it's gone. So that quickly. Okay, let's also do a little calculation here. So I'm going to bring in my item cost. Item cost is down here in my standard cost by item table. I'm going to grab my amount field and just drag it over here and put it next to inventory on hand. Now I'm going to click standard cost and inventory on hand and do a right mouse click. Now this time the system recognizes that I've got multiple columns highlighted. So it says, what do you want to do? Do you want to group or concatenate? Do you want to add, subtract? This lets you subtract the first column from the second or the second from the first. I can multiply or divide. Let's say multiply. So the system goes out there, creates a new column for me. It kind of guesses at a column header. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to change that column header. I just double clicked on that column heading. I'll call this one extended cost. And I'm going to say OK. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to also highlight that column and say I want to sort that column descendingly so our most expensive items appear at the top of our report. So again, that quickly, now we've got everything sorted descendingly by extended cost. I might come into extended cost again, right mouse click again, go item properties, say, click on my numeric tab and say, just show me 2 decimal places. So again, so I go click, 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 and now that quickly I've got everything formatted more or less the way I want it. Now, I can just click and drag, bring in more fields, but the thing that you'll see is it's very intuitive for the end user. The other thing that's nice is it's a lot like Excel. So people that know Excel will pick up Cyberquery very quickly. Here's the most popular button in the product. That's the good old undo button. So I click undo and click undo again and undo again. We're kind of back 3 or 4 steps. I can click redo, 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 as far back as I want to go. Next icon over is my run. When I click the run button, watch that button to the right. Whenever I want, I can click that stop button and say, okay, Oracle or SQL Server, I've got enough rows. So you don't need to read 30 million rows just to start laying out a report. Read a few thousand, click stop. Just will bring you back the data. You can look at it and make sure everything's looking good for you. Okay, you can even schedule. Even an accountant like myself can build a schedule. Next icon over is my Excel. I'm going to click on that. System goes out there and basically takes that report. I'm going to scroll down here to the bottom just to show you that here's this total. Notice it does come in as an Excel function. It's not just a printed value. So we'll get out of that. Let's go back up here to the top. And one of the other questions that came in was, what versions of Excel does Cyberquery support? We can output data into any format of Excel, going way back 10, 20 years. For the Excel add-in, we do require Excel 2003 or above. I'm going to come in here to my Excel add-in, just clicked on it. Here's my Excel, my Cyberquery Ribbon. I'm going to say insert report. I'm going to go in here. I'm going to grab this sales details. Now the system asked me 4 questions. It says, okay, for the input fields, do you want those to appear in the spreadsheet or come in via a separate pop-up dialog? I like them in the spreadsheet, so I'm going to choose that option. It says, do you want to include a refresh time in the report? I'll say yes. I'm also going to say, let's make my formatting take precedence over the report. So as I format in Excel, that's the format I want to see. So I go click, 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 hit finish. System goes out there, runs the report, brings in my default input fields, and now here's my report. And it's Excel at this point in time. So I can add calculations, I can do anything I want. I can change my input values. So if I say 100 through 100 when it comes to company number, hit return like I did now. System goes out there, refreshes the data that quickly. So again, it's a very fast and reliable Excel add-in. Okay, let's get out of Excel, go back over here to CyberQuery. So I can build reports, I can output the data to Excel. I can also output it as HTML or PDF. I can output it as a comma-separated value list. I can also email it. And all these buttons can be used in conjunction with each other. So I can schedule a report, have the output be Excel, and email to a user or to a group of users. I could schedule a report, have the output be PDF, and again, be output via email. Okay, just kind of working our way across. So we're currently in what we call the visual editor. If I click on the keyboard, here's the syntax behind that report. Most end users never see the syntax. But the syntax is nice if you ever need to do a mass change. It's nice to have it there. Okay, if you look closely, you'll see my cursor has a scroll next to it. That scroll lets me do the dragging and dropping, what we've been doing so far. Next icon over is the drill. I'll show you that in just a second. The next icon after that is the paintbrush. Paintbrush lets me control font style and color. So I'm going to say I want to bold that word purchased. I want to make it bigger. And maybe I want to make the background color light gray. So you can do all that with a paintbrush. I can also conditionally highlight. For example, I'm going to come in here and say, if I've got inventory on hand greater than or equal to 1,000 units, I want to add a highlight. So just click Add a Highlight. And it says, okay, if it is greater than or equal to 1,000 units, I want to make the background color a bright yellow. And I want to apply it to this whole line. So I go click, click, say okay. And now we've got everything highlighted with that bright yellow anytime inventory on hand is greater than 1,000 units. And you can have multiple layers of highlighting going on. So you can have red, green, yellow, orange, whatever. Okay, so we've got that. Next icon over is my camera. Camera lets me drop in any logo or graphic right here like you see for that logo. I can also put borders in here. And again, the product always works the same. So all I do is I do a right mouse click, go into border properties. I'm going to say, let's make this look striped, alternating kind of that bluish, light blue. So everything's striped now. And now if I export to Excel, everything except the logo, we're going to hand down to Excel. Okay, but let's not do that. Let's go, I want to build a new report for you. So I'm going to say new. It asks me if I want to save. I'm going to say no. Let's build a summary or a crosstab report. I'm going to come in here. I'm going to go look at my sales data. Type in the word sales. I want to go get my sales order lines. And I want to use that field called amount. I just typed in A to jump down to amount. I'm going to drag it, or I could double click on it. Click next. The system says, okay, what do you want to group this data by? Now, by means down the page. I want to go down the page by my address table, TCOM 130. I'm going to grab name and go down by that. And I'm going to click next. The system says, okay, do you want to go across? I'll say, yeah, let's go across by my order date. And notice, here's some of that translation goes on automatically. So we can translate from the Greenwich Mean Time timestamp format into a regular date, or we can have time zone offset. I'm just going to go with date. I double click on it. You'll see it's bringing in. It's going to do a year and the total. I want to change it. All I do again is the right mouse click, go look at my properties, and I could say, well, let's do this sorting by year and quarter, year and month. Maybe I want to do it by ISO year or week. I'm just going to stick with year for right now. I'll say, okay. Okay, we're good. Hit finish. Zoom goes out there, runs the report, and that quickly brings me back data where I'm showing sales by customer across year. And I can say that's great. Or I might say, I need more data. I want to come in here, go back over to my dictionary. I'm going to go back to my general item table and say, I want to see what's the product these customers bought. I just grab product description, drag it in here and drop it right after name. So now I'm looking at sales by customer, by product, by year and amount. I can also take description and I can put it in front of name. Now I'm looking at sales by product, then by customer name, by year and amount. So again, it's that easy. That's why some people describe Cyberquery as an Excel pivot table on steroids, where every field in LN is available to your pivot table. I'm going to hit my delete button, get rid of that. I want to show you one more thing right here. Here's an example. I didn't have email addresses in my table, so I created this little Excel spreadsheet. You can see it's only got 7 rows. I'm going to grab email and drag that in and just drop it right there. So now that first column's coming from LN, second column's coming from Excel, then back to LN for the rest of my report. But again, combining data from different sources is that easy. Okay, I want to show you the drill. Drill lets me drill down in any given cell, column, row, combination. I'm just going to do a right mouse click, say drill down, and I can pick any item I want. Let's go back here and say I want to drill down again on my, I'll use description one more time. So again, we'll say I want to use description. Highlight that, say okay. So now we've drilled down where year equals 2000, customer name equals Lowe's. Here are the products that they bought. I can right mouse click again. Let's drill down one more time. And again, I'm going to go back here and let's just get order number. I'm going to grab order number, drag it in there, say okay. And now we've drilled down. We say, okay, that's interesting, but I also want to see what's the price they paid. If I come over here and type a P, type a P again, there's price, click price, just drag it in there and drop it. So there's the price. Maybe I also want to get ordered quantity. Again, all I do is just go click, drag, drop, from any of these fields. So I'm going to say I want to get my quantity ordered, click, drag, drop. It's that easy. And so I'm just navigating through my data that quickly and easy. I'm going to go here. I'm going to say undo, undo, undo. Kind of get back up to my top level report. And I'm going to say, okay, this is kind of interesting data, but what would it look like as a chart? I just click on my chart icon up here, converts the report to a chart, and the default's a vertical bar, and it's broken down by customer and year. I'm going to get rid of year for just a second, just to make it more simple. And I can say, okay, that's interesting, but I wonder how that would look as, I just click on here and say, you know what, let's look at this as a pie, or maybe a donut. Let's do a pie. I can do it that easily. So again, just click, click. I can add labels, not have labels. I can also create joins where I can link when a user clicks from any of these sections of the pie, back to another level report. I can come in here and I can create selection criteria. I can really do it all from just a click and drag kind of environment. And that's really what we want to emphasize, is that Cyberquery is designed to be super easy to use and yet powerful. So it looks like we're about out of time. So again, if you have any questions, feel free to email me or Steve. You'll also receive a survey. And again, you can request copies of the PowerPoints, a link to the recording, or even an evaluation copy of the software. So please fill out the survey. Let us know what you thought. Let us know if you have any additional questions. And we'll look forward to working with you. So thank you for your time and look forward to hearing from you.